Well, yesterday was a fun-filled day of a collage. It was the end of the week of the 14 days of making Valentine Day cards. And for day 7, I did a collage of all the extra paper that I'd been using all week and just created a Be Mine here in the front and had a little scripture on the inside. And we know that in all time, God works for the good of all those who love him. Romans 8:28, because every piece matters and you do matter and you matter to me. And that's how I feel about this card. Every piece matters because it came from another card, and that's how my life is. Hi, welcome to the Paper Garden. It's a creative spot here at Grace and Grains where I can do some little work to share during these winter months. And I wanted to share this page with you. I'm a detailed person who likes to have spreadsheets, and this is what I created to make sure I covered a lot of embellishments while I was making these cards. And so all of these I've done throughout the week. And today we're going to go on to dangles. Now I have a dangle here on this card, and a dangle is a decorative embellishment. They're usually about 3 to 5 inches long, and you attach them to your journal spines or a card or a tag. Anything to add texture, sound. It gives a personalized boho feel to it. And a lot of times they're made with beads or buttons, broken jewelry, charms, ribbons, or fabric scraps. So I'm going to use a few of these today, and then they're attached with, this is actually what's called the dangle part, is how you buy these off of Amazon or wherever you buy your crafts. Or else you could even use something as simple as a paper clip. So we're going to make something similar to this, and today is day 8. So I was asked to work with this creative collab with Creating with Jovi, and Jovi was so gracious and offered a few of her decorating kits, and this one came from Love is in the Air, and I just love this beautiful butterfly with this pink rose. I want to show you also, I attach a lot of my work with these clothespins, and I'm going to make one of these this week also to show you how I do it. And then what's fun, this one actually has a little glitter on it too, but I do about 4 of them for every season, which is how I categorize all my paperwork, is by seasons, because then I know the seasons, I know the colors that I'm working with. So you can already see that I'm looking into spring, and this was a spring paperwork that I glued to this clothespin. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this picture of the butterfly, and I'm going to take one of my pieces of cardstock and glue it to a card. Now I had a lot of different cards in my box of cards, and I don't really send out cards. And for instance, this, as you can see, would be a birthday card, but I like the background, and so that's how simply I can change it. Now I'm fairly new still in the art world of doing cards. My first love came when I started doing art journals back in August. I've made one art journal and I've posted it up on a YouTube, and I went through a 30-day devotional that I put in it. I only got halfway through, but I plan on going back and finishing it as via YouTube and start that. So then I went through, I have a long history of cardstock because I was into creative memories back in the 90s when my children were little. So I have cardstock, and I went in and I just found all the paper that would go with her different website or with her pages. Now I'm going to cut this one down, and we're going to do a horizontal card today because what I have planned for it. So I'm going to pull off the white border and like that, and then I have to just eyeball it to see how far down I want to take it here on the inside. And that's about right. And I'm going to just cut off this bottom because I'm going to do a decorative bottom to it. So I want to just get this off the bottom. So on the bottom, what I'm going to do, because that now it'll make it a little bit shorter, but I want the blue to show down here, is through one of my thrift shopping, I found this. And I always go into different thrift stores, and the few things I look for are cards, any type of paper, cookbooks or music books, tools, and stamps, because those things can always put extra benefits into your card making or your journaling. So here's the bottom, and I'm going to put this in, and as you can see, it has these scallops. So I'm just going to put that into the bottom. And I know Fiskars is a good brand, and so that's why I want, anytime I see Fiskars brand, I'll stay with it. And then it shows where, as it comes through, you can see where it's lining up. That means it's going to stay in sequence with what you've just cut off. And it looks like probably one more. Let's see, and then that pulls, well, let me go back and do this first one here. There we go. So now I got this really pretty scallop bottom, but to keep with the artistic flair of it, I'm going to round out these corners so that they're round also. I don't want to have anything, the card's already geometric and has the straight edges, but I want to keep that curved bottom there. Pull that little piece off. And now we can glue this one on. Creating by Jovi is who's offering these different digital kits, and I'm working with two of them primarily this week. I'm working with the Love is in the Air, which I have today, and then I also work with the Victorian Valentine, and that's like a really beautiful red sequence of paper. Now, because this is a little loose here at the bottom, let me just put some extra. So I usually do this with Elmer's glue, and then if I have pieces that stick up at the bottom, then I go in with my fancy glue. I like to be able to save money on my glue, or maybe we'll just do a little bit more of this. Now I'd like to put a little bit of lace down here in the side. Maybe, yeah, not on the bottom. My other one had it up on the top. We'll do it on the top. So when I do the lace on the top, I'm going to put a little bit of a thicker glue. You'd either want to use like a 3-or-1, or this is the Tombow glue. And then I just place it across the top and then go on to my next thing as I let that dry. So to create the dangle, I'm going to use a crocodile, and I showed this last week when I was doing one of my cards. I like really easy things, and I don't always remember everything. So this will do a like a 1/5 inch, and then this side does an inch of the hole. I go in and I just create, I put pink tape on mine so I remember. So I want my dangle to be, I'll eyeball it to about here. It's probably about, let's see. Did you know that your knuckle to the thumb is 1 inch? So that's 2 inches because I put 2 thumbs together. But that's about 2 inches. It's a nice little way of remembering that if you're trying to measure. And I'm going to take off these corners. Again, I prefer to have a softer look to it than always that strong look. And then, and this is actually the back of a Tim Holtz paper that I have, but I did like the pretty colors on this side, so I just saved my scraps and used that. And then this page is some coffee colored paper that I did. I do about 10 sheets at a time, and I lay them out in a dish pan, or actually a cookie sheet, and I pour the boiling water on my paper. Then I add instant coffee, and then these white dots is actually where I throw salt on it, and it'll give a little bit of a different pop to the color. And I'm going to just tear this down a little bit so I've got pieces in here to create this. And then we'll put a little bit of Ranger Distress Oxide on it just to vintage it a little bit. I'm in this group with other collaborators. You can check out their pages too. I put the link down below, and you can go over and say hi to Jen at Sassy Southern North Carolina Girl. She's always got fun things going on. My 60s with Lene. I really like watching her work. She has some phenomenal shear skills that I always talk about her shear skills because I'm just in awe because I'm a ripper. And then we'll put a little piece of lace, so let me just grab it off of here. Too long. And now we're going to poke a hole, and that's why I needed this piece. Oh, and then I wanted a piece of the paper. Let's just use, I'm going to put a little bit of this color in it because it's so pretty. I love these colors. And I've been talking all week also about, I thought I had really good paper that I purchased for my printer. And then I really went into some research about paper. And that's when I found a certain premium paper that matches my new Epson printer. And these colors are just so vibrant. Okay, so I'll put that on top, because that way we'll put a dangle that hangs down like this. And now I need to put a hole in it. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to find my crocodile. This is currently locked, so let me push this open. You hold all your pieces together, and then I can just go in and eyeball where I want that, and it gives me a nice clear hole. And the reason, one of the things I did too, is I put that paper on top because that lace is going to pick up, and it's not always friendly when it comes through to punch. So if I use that paper on top, it gives me a little bit more skill to get that out. And pull out my little shears here to cut that off, or maybe big shears. Oh, you can tell I've been playing in my candles with this pair of shears. And then I got all these great pieces, of course, off of Amazon. Where else do we all shop? And so these are the eyelets that go into your crocodile. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to work with this blue because I think it'd be really pretty to pull out the color of that butterfly. And then this gets pushed through. And see, the hard part is pushing it through to get to get it through that hole. Let's see, let's use this, see if that makes it any. Oh, now I've got them all together. That's okay. Oh, look at that. That's not gonna work either. Come on. See what I did? I pulled out that divider, and now I got all my blues together, but that's okay. There we go. That last piece of paper was laminated, and it was hard to get it through, but I got it. All right, so then you take the crocodile, and see that little plug right there that goes through? That has to be your top part. So that goes through the top, and then you squeeze the two together. If you have hearts, now I've had arthritis, and I've had this thumb knuckle removed, and then I had carpal tunnel, and I had this replaced. So I've had some hand surgery, and so a lot of times these hand tools are hard. So if you have trouble and you're pushing this through, you can always lay the base of it down and just push it through like that, and that way it'll give you a little bit more control. Just helps your hands a little bit. All right, we'll cut this part off. And it didn't stick. Okay, we'll just stick that in there. Looks like we got to pull out the big guns. So there's a little bit of 3-in-1. This will put it down. And then for my dangle, I went and I got a gold dangle, and I have this pretty little sentiment, and it just says love on it. And you just poke that through in there. Let's make sure that we have it where it's turned up right correct way. We have to put it on the wrong way. Do you ever put necklaces on the wrong way? You know, you think it's perfect and then you look in the mirror and your necklace is inside out. And I planned on handing out these cards to my friends, so I know they may not fit in an envelope, but I'm okay with that because I'm going to just pass them out to my friends. Oh my goodness, wait till you see what I did as a mistake. So there's my dangle, and there is my ribbon, and here is my card. Oh my gosh. I make the silliest mistakes, but that's okay, because this is what we do, right? We fix things. So I'm going to take it real quick here. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to slide that bottom off. And I'm going to put it on the other side. And we're going to fix it. And through the magic of washi tape. Let's see, what do we have here? Like I said, I do everything by colors. And so I went in and I pulled out a bunch of Valentine Day colors when I was starting this project, wondering what things I would be using. So now I've got to move this down a little. It's good that it's not completely sealed. And we will get this card together. You know, this is actually the way I cook. Sometimes I don't always have the best recipes or the best, let's see, what can I say? I specialize in mistakes. For some reason, I like to overcome things. And I don't see problems as an issue ever. I like objections. Maybe because I was in the world of finance for so many years. And I had to sell. And you always had to overcome someone's objection of, oh, I don't want that. I don't want to buy that. It's not getting people to buy. It's getting them to want your product. There we go. So I can take that and just flip it over to the other side. Okay, now I want that ribbon, that lace back up front. And that is the benefit of being an artist. Art is always in the eye of the beholder. And behold, I like it. I like the color behind it. I like the color on it. I like that I was able to fix it. And I like the idea that I have glue all over my hands. But see, now I have a card that opens and closes, and I can still use the card. Well, please check out my other collaborator friends that I'm working with. The other two are Mary Ann's Craft Corner and Katie over at I Like to Paste. I'd really appreciate if you go check out them. I know they are a little bit more polished than I am. And then, of course, Jovi at Creating with Jovi has a beautiful page, and she is always doing active things. But thanks for spending time with me today. May you be rooted in love and grow in grace.